Okay, so here we are in Adobe After Effects, and first thing first, we will create a new composition. We are going to call it as main animation. Width is 1920, height is 180, frame rate we are going to choose 30-second. Duration I'm going to choose 1 minute long, and background color is white color, and simply hit OK and hit OK. And let's go to choose grid and guide option and simply hit on titles section. Now I have this Google logo over here, which I have divided each and every alphabet in different layers in Photoshop. You can easily get this file from Google, and all you need to do is to simply uh, cut it out and cut place on the same layer in Photoshop. You can check it out in my other tutorials as well, that how I do that, or you can see this on membership video as well. Okay, so now I have this Google logos over here, but before animating it, we will try to create our main animation, which is like a spring like a structure. And for that I'm going to select my ellipse tool, and I don't want any field, so I'll delete this field. And for the stroke I'm going to choose black color, and stroke width right now I'm choosing 15 pixels, and by holding shift I'm going to create this kind of ellipse. Now let's select this and press Ctrl Alt Home to align that anchor point to the center. Go to the Align tab, align it horizontally and then align it vertically. Now go to the Add menu and we are going to choose Trim Path. Go to the Trim Path and End Value. Let's make this 50. And also offset, we need to make this on -90, like that. Okay. So now let's go to the add menu and we are going to choose trim path again. Let's minimize this trim path, and now if you can see, we can animate this portion like that. So initially I'm going to make this value 0, create one keyframe and end, then go to around 20 frame. Let's make this value 100. Okay, like that. Then or you can go to 1 minute as well. Then somewhere around over here at 1 second I'm going to create one keyframe, then go to around 10 frames. Let's make this value 100. So if you see this now, we will getting something like that. Then select those keyframe and we are going to hit F9 like this. Okay, so we are getting something like that. Then go to the graph editor, select this graph, and by holding shift, let's move one handle over here like this. Select this and let's move one handle over here like that. So if you see this now, we are getting something like this. But the obvious thing over here is animation looks very slow. So let's select this and by holding Alt, I'm going to move this up to 20 frames. So now animation will look a little bit faster. Now let's select this and choose stroke width to somewhere around like this. Okay. Now let's go somewhere around over here at this point. Okay, we are getting something like this. Now press P for position and let's bring this portion over here like this. Okay, now we need to animate this one by one. So as you guys know that my portion should be at this point, the revealing animation should be at this point. So I'm going to select this shape layer, hit Ctrl D to duplicate it, press V, and let's try to move this over here just for now. Okay, press Ctrl R to bring one ruler and this move this portion over here like that, so it would be easy for us to understand. Okay, let's delete this portion for now. As you guys know that this portion is circle is touching over here. I'm going to create one line over here to just for my readings. I'll select this and I'll hit Ctrl D, and by holding shift I'm going to move this over here. Then I'm going to bring this ruler to this point. I'll select this, I'll hit Ctrl D to duplicate, and I'll try to bring this over here. Again, I'm going to bring one ruler over here like this. I'm going to select this, hit Ctrl D, and let's move this over here. Okay, now we need to animate it one by one. When this portion, this one, is coming to touch over here, I want this one should start to animate, so I'll move this over here like that. Then as it goes further somewhere around at this point, I want this one should start to animate, so with the help of open square bracket I'll move this over here. Then at this point I'm going to move this over here like that. Then when this is completely ending, I want my logo should pop up, so I'll go to the Google. I'm going to select this G. I'll hit Ctrl C to copy. I'll go over here and I'll hit Ctrl V to paste. I'll press S for scaling option. And scale, I'm going to make this 50, or even less than that. I think 20 would be nicer. And let's move this over here like that. Now at this point, when this is coming over here, I'll select this G. Let's move this over here. Press P for position to create one keyframe. Go few frame forward to create another keyframe, and in middle of that I'm going to move this from here to here. Then go few frame forward, create another keyframe again, and at this point over here I'm going to move this upward. Then select those keyframe, hit F9, go to the graph editor, zoom in, right click and make sure that you are in edit speed graph. Zoom in, select this graph by holding shift, move this handle over here, this handle over here, this handle over here, select this and move this handle over here. Zoom in, select this by holding shift, move this handle over here, this over here, this over here, this over here, select this and move this over here. Okay, zoom in. So if you see this now, we will get something like this. Now press S for scaling option, create one keyframe, go somewhere around over here, create another keyframe, go to the start, let's make this value 0, select those keyframe and hit F9. So we'll get something like this. Now press R for rotation to create one keyframe, go somewhere around at this point, let's make this one complete rotation. Okay, like that. So we will get this kind of animation. Now if you want, you can press S and let's make this value somewhere around at 20, or let's say 5 maybe. Okay, like that. Okay, I think this animation looks good. Let's select all of this and press Ctrl Shift C and let's call it as G. Then select this, hit Ctrl D, hit enter, let's call it as O. Hit Ctrl D, let's call it as O2. Hit Ctrl D, hit enter and let's call it as G. Hit Ctrl D, hit enter, let's call it as L. Hit Ctrl D, hit enter and let's call it as E. Okay, so now I have this one for each and every alphabet. Now what we need to duplicate it from the our main project window. So let's select this G, hit Ctrl D, hit enter and let's call it as O. Again hit Ctrl D, let's call it as O2 only. Hit Ctrl D, hit enter, let's call it as G. Hit Ctrl D, hit enter, let's call it as L. Hit Ctrl D, hit enter and let's call it as E. Okay, now we need to replace each and every one. So let's select this O first and this, and by holding Alt I'm going to replace it. Then select this O and this O, and by holding Alt replace it. Select this G and this G, and by holding Alt replace it. Select this L and this L, and by holding Alt replace it. Select this, and by holding Alt replace it. Okay, now let's go to the logo layers over here, and obviously we have each and every one properly separated by their names. So let's see, we have this O. So let's go to this fifth composition over here, select this G and this O, and by holding Alt I'm going to replace it like that. Okay, but let's hit Control Z. Before that, hit Control R to bring one ruler like that, and make sure that it should touch the bottom of this. Select this O, and by holding Alt let's replace it. Hit U and make sure that at last and somewhere around at this point over here, that should properly start from this point over here. You can copy this value, go to the end, hit Control V. Okay, like that. Okay, over here. Same goes for this O as well. So let's double click and open this. Okay, again hit Control R to bring one ruler like that. Select this O, select this O, by holding Alt replace it. Hit U. You can copy that value over here as well, because both of these O's are same. So simply you can copy this over here as well. Now the remaining one is G. Let's double click to open this. Select this G. Again bring one ruler over here like that. Bring your G from here over here, and by holding Alt simply replace it. Select this P for position, zoom in over here, go over here, and let's try to adjust it properly like that. Okay, copy this keyframe not keyframe but value, paste it over here like that. Okay, I think this much looks good. Similarly, we need to go for the L, bring one ruler, select this L, select this G by holding Alt, replace it. We don't need to do anything because L is properly at the position. I think we can bring this a little bit downward, not too much. Okay, and let's copy this position over here as well. Now the last remaining one is E. Again, bring this line over here, which should touch properly over here. Select this E by holding Alt, replace it, hit U, zoom in, try to bring this downwards, copy the color code, not color code but position keyframe, like that. Okay, so all of these, if you see this now, we will get this, and all of them are ready like this. But now we need to adjust them as a logo. So for that, what we are going to do, we will bring our logo comp, which is over here, drag it, press S, and let's adjust the properly like this. Now let's select this G composition. Sorry, let's remove this portion. Let us hide all of this. Select this G and let's try to bring this over here like that. Try to select this logo and adjust it according to your main logo over here. Let's make this 18. Okay, you can select this logo just for our reference. Apply fill and double click. Okay, and let's try to adjust the scale. I think this one would be nicer. Let's make this 21. Okay, it's still not, so let's make this 20. Yeah, I think 20 is fine like that. And let's bring this downwards and let's lock this layer. Now we have this O, so let's try to move this O over here like this. Then we have this O, let's try to move this over here. Then we have this G, move this G over here. Then we have this L, select this L and move this over here. Then we have this E, select this E and let's move this over here. Okay, now after all of this, we will select this logo and we will delete it. Not delete it, but we will delete the fill, and we will try to move this logo over here from here to here. And now let's select this G, go to the effect and presets panel, apply fill, and with the help of this picker we will pick up this color. For this O, apply fill, with the help of this picker pick up this color. Select this, apply fill, pick up yellow color. Select this G, apply fill, select this, pick up this color. Select this L, apply this fill, pick up this color. And for the last, apply this fill, pick up this red color, and then we will delete this logo. So now if you see this, we are getting something like this. And now I want this one by one, so obviously you can take a distance of 5 frames. So I'm going to take a distance of 5 frames over here like this and adjust them one by one. Okay, so now if I see this animation, I'm gonna get something like this. Okay, if you want, you can take a distance of 10 frames as well, because this looks a little bit faster. Like this. Okay, and you can go inside this, select all of them and enable their motion blur by hitting Ctrl A, select all, and make sure to enable the motion blur for each and every layer. And I'm going to press Ctrl K and I'm going to choose 59.94. Press Ctrl Y to create one solid background and try to bring this over here. And now if you hit play, it will take a little bit time to load because we have enabled the motion blur, but your final output would be nicer like this. Okay, so now if you see this animation, we are gonna get something like this. Okay, And now select all of these layers and try to adjust it properly at the center, like that. If you want, you can right click new and create one null object. Select all of them, make it apparent with this null. Select this null, press S and adjust the scale of it a little bit. Okay, like that. So what will happen is that you will get this kind of animation over here. Okay, I'll adjust it somewhere around over here so I can see this pop up properly. Okay, over here. Now let's delete this null object. I'm going to select all of these layers and I'll press Ctrl Shift C and I'm going to call it as animation. After that, hit Ctrl D, go to the effect and presets panel and I'm going to search for find edge effect and double click to apply and invert this, or let's keep it as it is and bring this downwards. And let's go somewhere around over here, go few frame forward and let's move this over here with the help of open square bracket. So we are gonna get something like that effect. Okay, and if you want one like cartoony stuff, bring this at the top. Okay, like that. And press F4 and choose blending mode screen over here, like that. Okay, we will get something like this, or you can choose multiply as well. So now if you see this animation, we are gonna get this kind of effect as well. Okay, so as you guys can see, with the help of this effect we can create multiple outcomes. Like you can select this and you can choose overlay as well, so you will get different results. If you choose screen and if you choose invert, you will get this kind of stuff, and just move this a little bit over here like that, and then you will get different results. So now let's do one thing. I'm going to close all of this and we will create some different outcomes of this. Okay, with the help of just this layer. Okay, in case if you're not understanding what I did over here, let's try to do it again. I'll delete this. Basically we have this animation layer that we have did. Now let's select this layer, hit Ctrl D and let's apply find edge effect. Okay, and as you guys can see, we are getting this kind of stroke like structure over here. Okay, if you choose blending mode, if you choose blending mode somewhere around screen over here, okay, you will get different results like this. And if you move this backward, all you need to do, let's go few frame forward over here, take a distance of 10 frames and move this way over here with the help of open square bracket. So now what will happen at, you will get that extra stuff over here, and if you choose inverted you will get different results. Now I'm going to choose this one and let's choose blending mode overlay or something, or even multiply. You will get this kind of stuff. Okay, we will get something like this. Okay, so this is the first outcome. Let's hit Control 0. I'm going to select this main animation comp and I'll hit Control D, and not this much, but let's go and select the second one. On this one, what I'm gonna do, I'm going to bring this layer at the top. So what will happen is that we are gonna get this stroke kind of structure for our animation like this. Okay, if I hit Control D, let's open and double click to open this. What I can do is I can select this, I can go to the effect and presets panel, and if I invert this and if I choose screen, I'm gonna get this kind of stroke effect, and I can move this a little bit over here like that. So still I'm gonna get different results. We will get this kind of outline kind of structure. Okay, like that. So as you guys can see, with the help of just a simple effect, we can create three outcomes with the help of that, just by alternating layers. Okay, so this is how you can create this kind of Google animation. Okay, so before we use After Effects, we have to separate each and every alphabet of this Google logo in Adobe Photoshop. Now I got this Google logo, which is in a PNG format, and now what I'm gonna do over here, I'm going to select my rectangle tool and I'm going to select this G. I'll hit Control X, I'll create a new layer and I'll press Control Shift V to paste in place. Double click and let's call it as G. Then I'm going to hide this. Same procedure I'm gonna do for this O as well. hit Control X, new layer, Control Shift V, double click, and let's call it as O, and let's hide this. Similarly, select this O as well, Control X, new layer, Control Shift V, double click, call it as O, and hide this. Again, select this G, Control X, new, Control Shift V, double click, let's call it as G, hide this. Select this L, hit Control X, new layer, Control Shift V, double click, and let's call it as L. Okay, and double click, and let's call it as E. Okay, and let's save this file. Now we will go to Adobe After Effects and we will create a new composition. We are going to call it as main animation. Width is 1920, height is 180, frame rate just for now I'm going to choose 30 seconds. Duration you can choose whatever duration you want, and background color I'm going to choose white color and hit OK. Then I'm going to go in choose grid and guide option and I'll hit on title safe action. Then I'm going to press Ctrl I and I'm going to select my Photoshop file, import as footage. Instead of that, I'm going to choose composition, return layer sizes, and simply hit import and hit OK. Double click to open this. Select this Google logo, hit Ctrl C to copy, go to the main animation and hit Ctrl V. But as you guys can see, the size is too much. So simply right click, new, and create one null object. Simply select all of them by holding shift and make it apparent with this null object. Then select this null object and press S, and let's make the scale 20 and or let's say 30. Yeah, 30 looks good to me. And let's delete this. Hit Ctrl A and let's try to adjust the position of this all along somewhere around over here. Or let's try to bring this over the center. Okay, this position looks good to me, or if you want, you can be specific about it like that. Okay, now after that, I'm going to press Ctrl R to bring ruler, and I'm going to bring this ruler over here just like this. Okay, now we need to animate this one by one. So let's hide this and select this G, go to the effect and not effect and presets, but align tab, and let's choose align horizontally so it will automatically come over here. Now I'm going to select my pen tool over here and let's zoom in. Then let's move this just for now. Then from here to here I'm going to create one line and go to the stroke options. With the help of this picker, I'm going to pick up this color and hit OK, and let's increase the stroke width to somewhere around, let's say 20. Okay, now let's select this and press Ctrl Alt Home to align that anchor point to the center. Go to the align tab and we are going to choose align horizontally. Press Y for pen behind tool and let's bring this anchor point over here like that. Okay, you can select this and press R and you can rotate it. We need to make sure that this is going to cover this G like that. Okay, so this looks good to me. Now let's select this, hit enter, and let's call it as G line. Okay, now after that, go to the add menu and we are going to choose trim path. Go to the trim path and we need to move this from here to here. So let's make this end value 0 to create one keyframe. Then go to around 1 second and let's make this value 100. Okay, like that, and let's move this over here. Then I'm going to select those keyframe and I'll hit F9. Then go to the graph editor, select this graph, and by holding shift, move one handle over here and move one handle over here. Okay, so we are gonna get this kind of stuff. Now after that, somewhere around at this point, let's minimize this. I want this G should come out of this stroke. So let's select this G, and with the help of open square bracket, I'm going to move this over here. Press P for position to create one keyframe. Go few frame forward to create another keyframe. At the start, I'm going to bring this downwards. Now we need one mask over here. So for that, what I'm gonna do, I'm going to select my rectangle tool and I'm going to delete this stroke. I don't need that stroke. And for the fill, I'm going to choose any color and let's create this kind of rectangle over here. And this rectangle is going to be mask. So hit enter and let's call it as G mask and hit OK. And we are going to make it apparent with this G line. And let's select this G mask at top of this G. Select this G and choose alpha mask or alpha mask like that. So if you see this now, we are gonna get something like this. Now select this G and let's hit F9. Go to the graph editor, select this graph by holding shift. I'm going to move this handle over here. So if you see, we are getting something like that. Then somewhere around at this point, I'm going to select this G line. I'll press R for rotation to create one keyframe. I'll go somewhere around over here and I'm going to rotate it like this. So let's make this -90 like that. Select those keyframe and hit F9. After that, go to the graph editor again, select this, move this graph over here and move this graph over here like that. So we will get something like this. So if you see this now, first we will get this and then we'll get this. Now when this is going to get up over here, what I want is that this O should start to get revealed. So let's enable this O as well as this O. I'm going to select both of them and I'll go to the align tab and I'm going to choose align horizontally. And as you guys can see, all of them are coming over here, but we want them at the center. So let's move this over here. Now obviously this O should animate first. So with the help of open square bracket, I'm going to move this over here and I'll select this mask over here, which is G mask. I'll hit Control D and I'll bring over here and I'm going to select this O and choose alpha inverted mask. So you'll get something like that. Then select this G mask over here, hit enter, and this time I'm going to call it as O mask. Okay. So now if you see this animation over here, we will get this and then we'll get this. Now somewhere around at this point, I'm going to select this G line over here, press S, unlink this, create one keyframe, go somewhere around 3 seconds, and let's bring this value, not this value, but this value somewhere around like this. Okay, over here. Yeah, I think this much looks good. Then select this and press P as well to create one keyframe. Hit U, go over here, and let's bring this downward like this. Okay, and yeah, select those keyframe and let's hit F9. Then go to the graph editor, select this graph. By holding shift, move this handle over here and let's move this handle over here like that. So we'll get something like this. Now after that, if you see, first we'll get this and then we'll get this. Now when all of this is happening, what I want is that this O, which is if you bring this at the top over here, this we need certain animation for this O as well. So I'm going to select this O and let's bring this over here and let's hide this just for now, or before that we need to select our O over here, and by holding shift I'm going to create one. Let's select this and press Ctrl Alt Home. Go to the align tab and choose align horizontally. Then press P for position. Let's go to the fit and let's bring this over here. Create one keyframe. Go few frame forward and let's try to bring this over here like that. Okay, and then we need this to be gone. So for that, what I'm gonna do, I'm going to select this, hit enter, and let's call it as O drop. After that, select this position, right click and choose let's say separate dimension. Okay, like that. Then after all of this, when this is coming near this O, let's bring this properly over here. Then go few frame forward. We need to bring this from here to here like that. And then we need to bring this downward like this, totally out of this composition like that. And in middle of that, I'm going to bring this Y position somewhere around over here. Okay, we will get something like this. Now what I'm gonna do, I'm going to select this Y position keyframe and let's hit F9. uh, Hit F9 over here. Go to the graph editor, select this graph. By holding shift, move this handle over here and move this handle over here. Select this, move this handle over here and move this handle over here. Select this, move this handle over here. Select this and move this handle over here. Okay, so if you see this now, we'll get something like this. And when this ball is going to touch this O, I want this O should be start to appear. So I'm going to bring this over here and select this O mask and this O and hold Alt, close square bracket to trim up to this. Okay, so now it will look like that. Because of this, they are changing color. So if you see this now, we will get this, then this, and then this. Now after that, what we want over here is that this G should start to appear. So enable this G and let's bring this at the top over here. Similarly, we have this G line, we need to bring this at the top as well. Okay, like that. Even if you see, we will get same animation over here like this. After that, somewhere around at this point, I want another thing over here. So let's try to do it. I am going to select this G line, press P for position to create one keyframe, go few frame forward, and let's bring this line from here to here like that. But if you see, we are getting this kind of trouble. So what we can do over here, I'm going to select this G line somewhere around at this point when this animation is ending over here, and I'm going to press Ctrl Shift D to split this line, and this time hit enter, and let's call it as small G line. Okay, now select this and hit U this time, and we need to delete all the keyframe position, scale, rotation, similarly this one as well. And this time I'm going to select this line and I'll press Ctrl Alt Home, so that the anchor point is automatically gonna come at the center like that. Then after that, I'm going to select this G line and press P for position to create one keyframe. Go to around 4 seconds, and we are going to bring this from here to here like that, and select those keyframe, and we will hit F9. So we will get something like this. Now at this point, I want this G should start to appear. So let's see this animation first. This, and I think this animation is starting a little bit early. So let's bring this over here. Similarly, select this line and let's bring this over here like that. Okay, then I'm going to select this G line and go to the graph editor, select this graph by holding shift, move one handle over here and move one handle over here. So we will get a little bit of depth, or in, or what we can say, ease in, ease out. Then select this G and bring this at the center like that. Now we need mask over here. So for that, I'm going to select this rectangle tool and I'm going to create this mask. Let's select this, hit enter, and let's call it as G mask. And let's try to bring this on just G over here, which is G. And with the help of open square bracket, I'm going to select this too and move this over here and choose alpha inverted mask and select this G mask and make it apparent with this upper G line. So we'll get something like this. Now, because of this G mask, we need this O should disappear. So select this G mask and hit Ctrl D, hit enter, and let's call it as O mask now. And bring this at the top of this O, which is the yellow one. And over here, we are going to choose alpha mask. Okay, so you'll get something like this. And make sure to select this O, hit I, and we need to bring this mask up to this point. Then only we can see this transition like that. Okay, over here. Then we all we left with this L. So let's select this L. Let's bring this at the top and let's go to the align tab and we will move this over here, and we will try to bring this over here like that. Then what I want is that this G should be getting converted into this L over here. So for that, what we can do over here is that select this G line and press P for position to create one keyframe. Then in search option, you can type stroke as well, stroke width, create one keyframe. Similarly, you can type fill, go to the fill option and create one keyframe at color and hit U. Then I'm gonna go somewhere around at 6 seconds, and now simply select this G line, go to the align tab and choose align horizontally like that. Then we need to bring this stroke width to be parallel with this L. Then we need to change the color of this one to yellow like that. But before all of this, we have to make sure that when this animation is starting, I'm going to select this G line and I'll press Ctrl Shift D to duplicate it. And let's bring this at the top and let's hit enter and let's call it as L line. Okay. And hit U. We need to delete these keyframes. We don't need that. So we can focus on this one. So it will automatically come over here. Okay. Like that. Let's select this over here. Select those keyframe and let's hit F9. Okay, I did one mistake over here. The color positions are wrong, so let's delete those color keyframes. Actually, I have applied the color keyframes on the fill. We need to apply this on the stroke, so create one keyframe over here, go at this point, and let's change the color of this one to this, and hit F9. Sorry, hit F9, and at this point it should be at the center. Similarly, at the start, I'll press S, create one keyframe, hit U, go over here, zoom in, and I'm going to adjust the scale on this axis to somewhere up to this. Okay, select those keyframe and let's hit F9. Okay, now after that, I'm going to delete this L. We don't need that, so let's delete this L like that. Okay, hit U like that. Okay, but as you guys can see, this animation looks weird. So what we can do over here is that we need to move this G. So I'm going to select this, and let's hit F9 and go to the graph editor, and let's go inside this. Let's select this graph. I mean, let's select this, and at this point I'm going to select this position keyframe, hit Ctrl C Ctrl V over here like that. Then select those keyframe and let's hit F9. Go to the graph editor, select this graph by holding shift, move one handle over here and move one handle over here. So we will get something like this. Now at this point, I want this G should be gone. So for that, I'm going to select this G mask, and I'll press P for position, create one keyframe, go somewhere around over here, and I'm going to move this from here to here, select those keyframe and hit F9. Like this, and if you want you can move this little bit and move this from here to here as well, like this. Okay, so it will go a little bit like this. So now if you see this animation from the start, if you hit U to minimize all of this, first I'll get this, then I'll get this, then I'll get this, and then I'm gonna get this. Now all we remain is this E, so for that I'm going to bring this E at the top like that, and I want the bouncing animation over here. So for that what we can do over here is that we can do something like, let's select this, press P, right click and choose separate dimension, and I want this animation should start somewhere around from 4 seconds, but we will try to animate this from here. So go to 6 second and move this over here. Let's select this first and go to the align tab to bring this over here. Create one keyframe at X and one keyframe at Y. Then go somewhere around 9 second. Again create another keyframe. Go to the start and let's bring this X position over here. Create one keyframe at Y at this point and one keyframe at Y at this point. In the middle, let's bring this over here like that. Similarly over here, Control C, Control V this keyframe. In the middle, Control C, Control V. Select those keyframe, hit F9, go to the graph editor, zoom in. Select this graph by holding shift, move this handle over here and move this handle over here. Move this handle over here, select this and move this handle over here. Select this, move this handle over here. Move this handle over here. This handle over here and move this handle over here. Select this, move this handle over here and this handle over here. This should be over here as well as this should be over here. Okay, so we are getting something like that. Similarly, press R for rotation to create one keyframe and hit U. Then go somewhere around over here and we have to rotate it like that. So let's make this -3. Okay, so we are gonna get this kind of animation, but I want this animation should start and get over somewhere around at this point. So let's bring this over here like that. So if you see this now, we'll get this, 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 and then this. Or let's move this a little bit over here. Okay, there should be sign for this L. And when this is gonna come over here, somewhere around at that point. I'm going to select this L, but I cannot move this like that, so I'm going to select this L and I'll press Ctrl Shift D to split this layer, hit U, and I'm going to delete all those keyframes. We don't need that. I'm going to select this and I'll press Y for pen behind tool, and by holding Ctrl I'm going to bring this anchor point downwards. I'll create one keyframe at S and hit U, hit U, hit page down button 2 to 3 times to go over here, and let's make this 0 value on this axis. Okay, like that. And let's try to bring this E downwards somewhere around over here. Select those keyframe and let's hit F9. Okay, like that. Now after that, let's go and see this animation. First I'll get this, this, then this. Now after that, so hit U, select this E, press P for position, create one keyframe at X, go few frame forward, and let's move this over here. And select those Y position keyframes, hit F9, go to the graph, select this by holding shift, move this handle over here, like that. Now let's press F4, select all of them and enable the motion blur. Hit Ctrl K, and I'm going to choose frame rate to somewhere around 55.94. And now let's play this animation. I'll get this, like that, and then this, and hit N over here. So now as you guys can see, we are gonna get this Google logo animation, which is in a, you can say, quite in a creative way, and it is going to be in the form of loop. Okay, now select all of them and press Ctrl Shift C, and I'm going to call it as animation, and hit OK, and press Ctrl Y to create one solid background and bring this downwards. Select this layer, go to the effect and presets panel and search for drop shadow effect and double click to apply. Increase the distance to 40, softness to 500, and color we will pick up this blue color. Okay, like that, or let's make this softness to 300 and distance to 20, like that. And color not complete blue but somewhere around like this blue. Okay, so we are gonna get this kind of stuff. Then let's make this opacity to 25. Select this, right click, layer styles, and we are going to choose bevel and emboss. Go to the bevel and emboss and let's increase the softness as well as size. And over here, let's decrease the opacity. Hit U. Okay, and now we are going to see this animation. First I'll get this, and then I'll get this. Okay, it will take a little bit time to load after adding this effect because this effect is quite heavy. But let's see. And we will get something like this. And here you go, our final animation is ready, and you can play around with this kind of animation with any logo. Okay, this is quite a fun way to create this kind of looping logo animations. So here we are in Adobe After Effects. Let's create a new composition and we will call it as main animation, as always we do. Width is 1920, height is 180, frame rate currently we will choose 30 seconds, and background color should be black color, and simply hit OK. Then choose grid and guide option and simply hit on title section. Then I have Nike logo over here. You can choose any logo you want, but right now it is in black PNG logo. So I'll go to the effect and presets panel and I'll search for fill effect and I'll double click to apply, and I'm going to choose white color for this, and I'll press S for scaling option and I'll make this scale somewhere around 70. Now let's select this and press Ctrl Shift C to pre-compose, and we will choose move all attributes into new composition, and we are going to call it as 01 Nike. Okay, and simply hit enter. Let's go inside this, and over here we are going to animate this. So let's select this, press P for position, and let's move this over here. Then press S, create one keyframe. press P, create another keyframe and hit U so you can see both the keyframes. Then go to around 20 or let's say 1 second, and let's select this and type your original position, which is 960, and we will type scaling keyframe as well to create one keyframe. Then go to the start and let's make this scale 0. Then we will go to around 2 seconds and I'm going to move this from here to here and let's make this scale 0. Then after this animation, as you guys can see, we are getting something like that. I'm going to select this keyframe and I'm going to hit F9. I'll go to the Adobe, not Adobe After Effects, sorry. I'll go to the graph editor. I'll select this graph by holding shift. Let's move this handle over here and move this handle over here. Similarly, select this, move this handle over here, select this and move this handle over here. So we will get something like this. Okay, like that. I think this looks good to me. Or you can select this, and if you hit F9 over here, you will get this normal animations like that. Okay, so it's totally up to you. I'm going to select this. I'll bring not too much, but only somewhere around like this only. So I'll get something like this. Now let's select this, and by holding Alt, I'm going to move this duration up to 1.10 frames around like this. So I'll get this kind of animation. I'm going to select this animation and move to somewhere around 1 second. Okay, so we will get this kind of animation. If you want, you can increase the animation later as well. Now let's go to the main animation over here, and I'll press Ctrl Y to create one, let's say somewhere around black background over here. Then I'm going to select this black solid. I'll press Ctrl Shift C to pre-compose this, and I'm going to call it as map and hit OK. Double click to open this, and over here I'm going to select my rectangle tool and I'm going to delete this stroke. I don't need that stroke. And for the fill, I'm going to choose white color and simply create this kind of rectangle. Now select this and press Ctrl Alt Home. Go to the align tab, align it horizontally and then align it vertically. Then right click new and create one adjustment layer. Go to the effect and presets panel and search for mosaic effect and double click to apply. So as you guys can see, we are getting a little bit stuff over here. But what we will do, I'm going to select this shape layer and I'm gonna go in effect and presets panel and I'll search for Gaussian blur effect and double click to apply, and we will increase the blurriness value so we will get more stuff. I'm going to make this blurriness somewhere around 400. Then select this adjustment layer. Let's choose horizontal block 30 as well as vertical block 30. So we will get this kind of stuff, or let's say 20 or something. I think this looks good to me. Now let's go to the main animation. Let's hide this map. Select this Nike composition and apply time displacement effect and double click to apply. And we are going to choose this map over here. And now if I see this animation over here, I'm gonna get this kind of stuff. Okay, like this. If I select this, let's go somewhere around this point, somewhere around over here. Let's select this, hit Ctrl D, and let's try to move this over. As you guys can see, we can get this animation again and again. So let's hit Ctrl 0 to open the project settings. Select this 01 Nike and hit Ctrl D to duplicate. Double click to open this. And at this point, what I'm gonna do, I'll go somewhere around over here in the middle and I'm going to delete this last keyframe. I don't need that. Now let's do first thing first. We need some animations over here. So I know that my animation is basically starting from this point over here, somewhere around 20 frame, let's say. So let's select this, hold Alt to open square bracket to trim up to this, Alt and open square bracket, and then go to the start, and with the help of simple open square bracket, I'll bring this over here. So I'll get this animation somewhere around at this point. Okay, like this. Now I'm going to select this. I'll hit Ctrl D to duplicate it. I'll hit page down button 2 to 3 times, and with the help of open square bracket, I'll move this over here. Again hit Ctrl D again 3 times, move this over here. Again hit Ctrl D again 3 times, and let's move this over here. So we are gonna get something like this. Now let's go to the fifth layer. Go to the effect and presets panel and search for fill effect and double click to apply, and apply fill red color. Select fourth, choose green color like this. Then select this color over here, apply fill effect and choose blue color like this over here. So if you see this now, we are getting something like that. Select this, apply fill effect and choose black color over here. Then I'm going to select this layer. I'll hit Control D and let's choose white color. And after that, I'm going to apply find edge effect and double click to apply and choose invert. And let's bring this a little bit over here like that. So if you see this now, we will get something like this. And then I'll hit Control 0. I'm going to select this Nike logo, hit Control D, select this Nike 2, and by holding Alt, I'm going to replace it over here. So if you see this now, we will get something like this, and bring this Nike 2 somewhere in the middle of these two like that. Okay, then select this Nike 2, hit Control D, go to the effect and presets and delete this find edge effect like this. So now if you see this animation, we are gonna get something like this over here. Okay, now you can go to this Nike or Nike over here, and if you want, you can select those and you can bring this position a little bit over here, so you will get some animation extra, and you can move this similarly over here. Okay, so we will get some more time for animation. And if you see this animation now, we will get something like this over here. Okay, like that. Now all after all of this, press Ctrl Y to create one black background, and let's bring this downwards like this. Now select all the logos, including this map, and press Ctrl Shift C, and we will call it as logo animation and hit OK. Then hit Ctrl D, press S, unlink this, and let's make this -100. Press P for position and let's bring down the position downwards. Then press S, unlink this, link this, and let's not link this, but try to adjust this value to somewhere around -60, and press P for position, and let's try to bring this over here like that. Then I'm going to select this. I'll go to the rectangle tool and I'm going to create this kind of mask. Then go to the mask and let's increase the mask feather somewhere around like this. Then press T for opacity and let's make the opacity to 30. So if you see this now, we will get this kind of reflection. Now after that, right click new and create one null object. Select both the layers and make it a parent with this null. Select this null, press P for position, alt click on the stopwatch and apply wiggle 3,3, and we will get this kind of a little bit wiggle animation over here. Then you can right click new and apply one adjustment layer, and you can go to the effect and presets panel and you can search for glow effect, and then increase the glow threshold to 90, glow radius to somewhere around 120, and glow intensity to 0.2. Okay, so now if you're gonna see, we will get something like this. If you want, you can go inside this logo animation, you can select this last logos, press F4, and you can choose blending mode to somewhere around screen. Okay, like that. Okay, so you will get proper this kind of effect. Okay, and now if you see, this is a proper logo animation. But if you want to give this animation a kind of a retro look, let's say, what you can do, let's go to around 4 seconds and hit N. If you see this animation, we will get something like this. If you want to give this animation a little bit retro look, what you can do, select this black color background, press Ctrl Shift Y to open the project setting, solid settings, and instead of black, let's choose a little bit of grayish color. Okay, and then go to the effect and presets panel and search for CC vintage effect and double click to apply. After that, right click new and create one adjustment layer a little bit more and apply posterize dime effect and double click to apply, and you can give this frame rate up to 15. Okay, so what will happen now, we will get this animation like it is running in a 15 frames per second like that. After that, you on the same layer you can apply another effect called noise. So what will happen, that it will add a little bit noise in our animation. So let's apply this noise effect a little bit and increase a little bit noise amount somewhere around, let's say 10, and let's go to the start and play this animation like this. I think the 10 is very less, so let's make this 25. Go to the start and let's hit play. So as you guys can see, we are getting this kind of effect. Okay, so this is how you can give this animation a retro look as well. Now it's totally up to you. You can choose whatever you want. I'll go with this animation, but this looks quite good to me. Here we are in Adobe After Effects. Let's create a new composition and we are going to call it as main animation. Width is 1920, height is 180, frame rate I'm going to choose 30 seconds, and background color I'm going to choose white color, and simply hit OK and hit OK. Then go to choose grid and guide option and simply hit on title save action. Now I'm going to select my ellipse and I don't want any stroke, so I'll delete the stroke. And for the color I'm going to choose black color, and by holding shift I'm going to create one ellipse. Now let's select this ellipse and press Ctrl Alt Home to align that anchor point to the center. Go to the align tab, align it horizontally and then align it vertically. Now press P for position, select this, right click and choose separate dimensions, and let's create one keyframe at Y. Then we will go somewhere around downwards like this. Then we'll go to around 20 frame and let's make this value again somewhere around 500, and press V and let's try to bring this over here like that. Sorry, let's align it properly. Let's bring this over here, then go somewhere around over here, and let's bring this in the middle. So click on this icon. So let's select those keyframe and let's hit F9. Go to the graph, select this graph. By holding shift, move this handle over here and move this handle over here. Select this, move this handle over here, select this and move this handle over here. So now it will give a look like a bouncing animation. Now select this keyframes and by holding Alt I'm going to bring this up to 25 frames. So we will get something like this, and when this point is gonna come over here, I'm going to select this layer and I'll hit Ctrl D to duplicate it. And let's select this first layer and change the color to yellow. Select this layer and let's delete the keyframe. Now in search option, let's search for size and create one keyframe and hit U. Now let's select this and this time I'm going to delete the fill, I don't need. And for the stroke, choose black color and simply hit OK, and let's increase the size of the stroke somewhere around like this. Let's enable this. Okay, let's make this value 200. Let's minimize this. Okay, now let's if you see, we are getting this point over here. Now let's select this and hold Alt and open square bracket, and initially size I'm going to choose 0. Then I'll go somewhere around 20 frames and let's increase the size of this to somewhere around like this. Let's select this one and choose red color just for now. Sorry, select this and let's increase the size. Now let's select this value again and hit Ctrl D, select this one and change the color of this one to a little bit grayish color, just for our understanding that this is a different layer. And let's move this over here, select this, hit Ctrl D, select this and let's increase the size of this one again, and let's choose black color like this. Select this, hit Ctrl D, select this, let's choose grayish color again, just for our understanding, something like this. Select this, hit Ctrl D, select this last layer, choose black color again and increase the size like this over here. Okay, I think this much looks good. Hit U, and now if you see, we'll get this and we'll get this. Now let's select those keyframe and let's hit F9. Go to the graph editor, select this graph. By holding shift, move this handle over here like this. Okay, over here. Then zoom in, zoom out, and by let's bring this last keyframe somewhere around 2.10 like this. Okay, now as you guys can see, it looks like this is happening a little bit late, so let's try to bring those somewhere around over here. Or you can select those keyframe, you can go to the graph editor, select this, and by holding shift we need to bring this over here so it will act a little bit faster. Then we need to take a gap between these portions, but we'll do that later. After completing this animation, we we need a trim path animation between these. So let's select this uppermost one and go to the add menu, and we are going to choose trim path. Then go to the trim path, and we can, as you guys can see, we can end this animation like this. So let's create one keyframe, then go to around 4 seconds, and let's make this value 0 or somewhere around, let's say 1. Okay, not 0 but 1, and select those keyframe, and let's hit F9. Then go to the graph editor, select this graph. By holding shift, move one handle over here and move one handle over here. So if you see, we will get something like this. Okay, now what we need to do over here, we need to select this trim path. We will hit Ctrl C and make sure that during copying this trim path, you need to be on the this keyframe over here. So copy this trim path by hitting Ctrl C, and let's hit U. Select all the other layers and hit Ctrl V to apply that trim path, and hit U. So as you guys can see, we are getting this animation. Okay, so if you see this now, first we'll get this and then we will get this. Now let's select those trim path last keyframes and try to bring them a little bit closer like this, and then somewhere around at this point over here, I'm going to press S. Let's create one keyframe, then go over here and let's make this value 0, and now select those keyframe and let's hit F9. Go to the start, go to the keyframe, select this, zoom in a little bit. By holding shift, move this handle over here, select this and move this handle over here. So we will get something like this, or you can bring this a little bit over here. Okay, over here, or you can select those keyframe, hit F9, go to the graph, select this graph. By holding shift, move one handle over here and move one handle over here like this. Okay, now if you see this animation, first we will get this, then we will get this, and then we will get this. Okay, let's increase the duration of this animation. So select those keyframe, let's bring them at the start, so it will try to scale down a little bit early, and it should be over here. Now what I'm gonna do over here is that I'm going to select this topmost layer over here, and let's choose the grayish color over here like this, and select those alternate layers over here, and let's choose white color over here. So if you see, first we'll get this, and now this animation should be one by one. So I'm going to take a distance somewhere around over here like this, and like this. Okay, so if you see, we are getting something like this. Let's hit U. Okay, now we need to apply some drop shadow effect. So select this topmost layer first, and select this layer, go to the effect and presets panel and search for drop shadow effect and double click to apply, and let's increase the softness to somewhere around like this. Then select this drop shadow effect by hitting Ctrl C, select all the remaining layers and hit Ctrl V. So now if you see this, we are gonna get this kind of animation over here like that. Okay, so let's see, first we'll get this and then we'll get this. Now let's select this topmost layer and let's choose a little bit darker version of this color like this, and we'll get something like this. Then I'm going to select this layer, I'll hit Ctrl D to duplicate it, and I'm going to change this color to white and press S, and let's decrease the scale a little bit like this, and apply this drop shadow effect over here and increase the softness. So if you see, we are getting something like this, and let's hit page down button few times and select this white color, and let's try to bring this over here. Okay, so if you see, we are getting something like this, and then this, and then this. Okay, and when this last one is gonna come over here, I want there should be some sparking type animation over here should be happening. So let's select this shape layer, hit Ctrl D to duplicate it, hit U, and let's delete all of this and let's try to bring this over here and change the color of this one to black. Press S, initial scale should be 0, create one keyframe. Then as it goes further, increase the size of this, select those keyframe, hit F9, go to the graph editor, select this graph. By holding shift, move this handle over here, then select this, hit Ctrl D, move this over here and change the color of this one to white. Okay, so first we will get this, then we will get this. Okay, now between these there should be some additional animations needs to happen. So press Ctrl N and we are going to call it as line animation. So hit OK. Then for that I am going to select my pen tool. From here to here I am going to create one line with the black color and stroke width to 10 pixels, and fill I am going to delete it. Then go to the add menu and choose trim path. Go to the trim path, initial end value should be 0, so create one keyframe at start and one keyframe at end. Then go somewhere around 1.20 frame. Let's make this value 100 as well as this value 100. Okay, select those starting keyframe and let's move this over here. So we'll get something like this. Now let's try to adjust it over here. Select those keyframe and by holding Alt I'm going to bring this over here, and let's hit F9. Then go to the graph editor, select this graph. By holding shift, move this handle over here and move this handle over here. So we will get something like this. Now we need another copies of this, so hit U, select this, hit Ctrl D, press R, and let's make this not 60 but 90-degree rotation. Again hit Ctrl D, press R, let's make this 180, hit Ctrl D, press R, and let's make this 270. So if you see, we are getting something like this. Then select all of this and let's press V for selection, and let's make this stroke width to 4. Select all of this, hit Ctrl D, let's bring them at the top, and this time I'm going to make stroke width 10. Then right click, new, and create one null object. Select the top 4 layers and make it apparent with this null. Select this null, press R for rotation, and let's make this 45-degree rotation. So if you see, we are getting something like this. Now I'm going to select this topmost layer and I'm going to move this up to 10 frames like that. Okay, like this. Then you can select this, press S, and you can make this 200 as well. So if you see this, now we are getting something like this. Now select all of these layers and in search option search for cap, and now all the butt cap I'm going to choose to round cap. Okay, so make sure to choose round cap for each and every one. Okay, so we are gonna get proper like this animation. Hit U. If you want, you can bring this up to 5 frames as well. Okay, like that. And I think the stroke weight over here is too much, so let's do one thing, make this 1 only, not too much, or even less than that, like 0.5 or something. Okay, like this. Okay, this looks good to me. Let's go to the main animation, and then when this animation is happening, I want that line animation should appear. So let's try to bring this over here, this line animation, and it should be behind this first. Okay, at this point. Okay, when this animation goes and when this animation arrives, I'll select this line animation and I'll try to bring this over here, and I'll bring this over here as well, and this animation should start somewhere around at this point. Okay, at this point. Okay, and just in case it's very slow, simply right click time and choose time stretch, and let's choose 80. Okay, like that. So it will automatically become faster. So first this and then this. Okay, and then over here you can put your logo. So right now I'm just putting your logo text, but you can add your logo. So if you see this properly, this is a very basic animation for beginners. Okay, let's increase the size of this one. Then at this point try to bring your logo, so press P, or you can press S for scaling, create one keyframe, go few frame forward, create another keyframe and go to the start. Let's make this 0 and choose F9. Go to the graph editor, select this graph by holding shift, move one handle over here like this. Okay, and try to adjust it over here. Okay, so if you see, we'll get this, and we'll get this. Okay, like that. Then press Ctrl Y to create one solid background and bring this over here like this. So after all of this, as you guys can see, just with the help of simple shape layers, you can create this kind of logo for your channel. Adobe Photoshop. Now I have this Google PNG logo over here. I'm going to press M on my keyboard, so it will automatically select my rectangle selection tool. I'm going to select this G and then I'll press Ctrl X to cut it out, create a new layer and press Ctrl Shift V to paste. Then I'll hide this. Then I'm going to select this O. I'll hit Ctrl X to cut it out, create a new layer and press Ctrl Shift V, and let's hide this. Then I'm going to select this O, hit Ctrl X, create a new layer, press Ctrl Shift V, and let's double click on it and we will name these layers like this, should be G. Okay, and let's hide this. Then I'm going to select this G. I'll hit Ctrl X, new layer, press Ctrl Shift V, double click, and let's call it as G. Then I'll select this portion, hit Ctrl X, new layer, Ctrl Shift V to paste in place. Let's call it as L, and this is going to be my E. Okay, and let's save this file as a Photoshop document. Now I'm gonna go in Adobe After Effects and I'll create a new composition and I'm going to call it as main animation. Width is 1920, height is 180, frame rate we are going to choose 59.94, and let's make the duration up to 1 minute only, like that, and background to white color, and let's go to choose grid and guide option and simply hit on title selection. Now let's save this file. Now first thing first, we need to create our animation, which is going to be like atom animation. So let's select your ellipse and this time we are going to choose fill black, and let's delete this stroke like that, and by holding shift I'm going to create one ellipse. Then select this and press Ctrl Alt Home to align that anchor point to the center. Then go to the align tab, align it horizontally and then align it vertically. Select this, hit enter, and let's call it as nucleus. Okay, hit Ctrl D, hit enter, and now this time call it as orbit. Okay, then go to inside this orbit, ellipse path, and we are going to increase the size, but before that we need to delete this fill, we don't need that fill. And for the stroke, choose black color for the stroke, and stroke width let's choose 10, and let's increase the stroke size like that. Then select this orbit and hit Ctrl D, or let's delete this. First of all, select this orbit and click on this size over here, and we will create a keyframe, and let's make this value 200 like that. Then select this, hit Ctrl D, hit U, let's make this value 300, or let's make this 250 maybe, like that, and let's change the stroke to 8. Select this, hit Ctrl D, hit U, let's make this 300, and let's make this stroke width to 6. Select this, hit Ctrl D, hit U, let's make this value 350 and change the stroke width to 4. Select this, hit Ctrl D, hit U, let's make this 400 and let's make this stroke width 2. Okay, so as you guys can see, we are getting this kind of structure, and hit U. Now select all of them and hit U over here, and we haven't created any size keyframe over here, so in search option you can simply type size, so it will automatically show that and create one keyframe. Now hit U again, then we are gonna go somewhere around 1.30 frames. Select all of them and enable another keyframe on each and every size. Then go to the start, select all the layers, and let's make this 0 size in for each and every one like this. So now if you see, we are getting this kind of animation. Now select those lines and hit F9, go to the graph editor, select this graph. By holding shift, move one handle over here, select this, and by holding shift, move one handle over here. Okay, so if you see this, now we are getting something like this. Now I want this animation one by one, so let's take a distance of 10 frames over here for each. Let's adjust it like that. Okay, so if you see this, now we will get something like this. Okay, now after that I'm going to select this nucleus, and or you can press F4 to enable this option. Select all of them and convert these layers into 3D, and let's see this animation. Now we will get something like this. Now right click new and create one null object. Select all of them and make it a parent with this null, and select this null and convert this layer into 3D. Now if you press R for rotation, as you guys can see, we will get this kind of rotation over here. Now instead of that, what we can do over here is that we will select all of these orbits and we will press R for rotation, and we can rotate it on this axis as well as this axis. So let's create one keyframe at X and one keyframe at Y, then go to around 3 seconds, and we will move this over here a little bit and over here a little bit. Okay, like that. Let's try to adjust it this portions like this. Okay, now let's select those keyframes and we will hit F9. Then we'll go to the graph editor, select this graph. By holding shift, we'll move one handle over here and we'll move one handle over here like this. So if you see this, now we'll get this animation first and then this animation first over here. Now let's move this animations over here. Let's go somewhere around at 2 frames, move this over here like this. Then I'm going to take a distance of 5 frames this times. Let's select this keyframe, hit Ctrl X Ctrl V, then go over here, select those keyframe, hit Ctrl X Ctrl V, go over here, select this, hit Ctrl X Ctrl V, go over here, select this, hit Ctrl X Ctrl V like this. So okay, so if you see this, now first we will get this and then we are gonna get this. Now let's select those portions and let's bring them a little bit closer over, so animation will be a little bit faster. Now along with that, there should be some rotating animation for this. So for that we need to add trim path. So let's select this trim path, go to the add menu, and we are going to choose trim path. Go to the trim path and let's make this value 80, and we will create one keyframe at offset. Then we will go to around 4 seconds and we will make this one complete rotation over here. So if you see this, now we will get this kind of rotation. Then alt click on this stopwatch and let's type loop out expression over there. Okay, like this. Now let's copy this trim path by hitting Ctrl C and hit U to minimize all of them. Select this second layer, press I to go at the start and hit Ctrl V. Similarly, I hit Ctrl V, select this, I hit Ctrl V, select this, I press I, hit Ctrl V, select this I and press Ctrl V to apply that trim path. Now if you hit U and if you hit play, we are gonna get something like this. Oops, I think I have applied this trim path to the nucleus as well. We can simply delete that, go and delete this trim path. Okay, and hit U. So now if you see this, we are gonna get something like this. Okay, now one thing over here you can do is that you can change this value to, like for example, this should be 2, you like that. Okay, so you will get a little bit faster rotation. For this one you can choose 4, for this one you can choose 8 like that. So if you see this, now we'll first guess this and then we will get this. Okay, like that. So okay, now after that let's select this and press S, and if you increase the size, as you guys can see, we will get something like that. So now if I see this animation, I'll get this and then this. Okay, but we will bring this somewhere around over here at this point. Now hit U, and at this point let's select this, press S, create one keyframe, and when it's going to get rotate completely at this point, I'm going to increase the size of this somewhere around like this. Select those keyframe and hit F9. Then go to the graph editor, select this graph by holding shift, move one handle over here and move one handle over here. Okay, so if you see this, we will get something like this. Okay, now let's select all of this orbit. In search option, let's type cap. Okay, now line cap, choose round cap, and let's choose round cap, and let's choose round cap over here. Also over here choose round cap. Okay, hit U. Now if you see this animation, we will get this and we will get this. Now after all of this, we will try to rotate these animations. So let's select all of this and press R for rotation, and again you can select those keyframe, hit Ctrl C, Ctrl V, right click, keyframe assistance, time reverse keyframe, so you will get this rotations. Okay, we will follow the same procedure. Select this, hit Ctrl C, Ctrl V, right click, keyframe assistance, time reverse keyframe, Ctrl C, Ctrl V, right click, keyframe assistance, time reverse. Select this, Ctrl C, Ctrl V, right click, keyframe assistance, time reverse. Select this, hit Ctrl C, Ctrl V, right click, keyframe assistance, time reverse. So we are gonna get something like this. Now over here, instead of this, we are going to choose different values. So let's select all of these layers, and we will change this value to somewhere around like this, and change this value to somewhere around like this. So if you see, we will get something like that. Now hit page down button 1 to 2 times over here. Let's select this, hit Ctrl X, Ctrl V, again 2 times over here, Ctrl X, Ctrl V, again 2 times, Ctrl X, Ctrl V, sorry, like that. Okay, so we are getting this kind of closing animation, you can say. And now hit U, and select all of them and enable the motion blur. So when they are going to close themselves, let's make this quarter resolution, there should be some motion blur in their animation. Okay, like that. Now after that, when this is going to happen, I want scales to get a little bit low, so hit U. Let's go somewhere around over here, select this, press S and create one keyframe. Then at this point, let's make this value 0 and select those keyframe and hit F9, like that. Okay, let's bring this a little bit over here. Okay, now if you see this animation from the start, let's disable this motion blur just for now. We'll get this, then we'll get this, and then we'll get this. Now at this point, I want this nucleus to get small, and we will try to animate our Google animations. So press Ctrl I to bring our Photoshop file. So select this, footage, composition, retain layer sizes, hit import and hit OK. Double click to open this, select all of them, hit Ctrl C, go over here, hit Ctrl V and press V, and let's try to bring them over here like this. So then right click, new, and create one null object. Select all of them and make it apparent with this null. Select this null, press S, and let's decrease the scale of this to somewhere around like this. Okay, now they are going to come from here, so let's delete this null object. Now when this is going to get over here, I'm going to select all of them, and with the help of open square bracket, I'll move this over here, press P for position, create one keyframe like this, then select all of them, press R for rotation, create another keyframe and hit U, and go somewhere around over here like this. Create one keyframe at position and one keyframe at rotation. Then go to the start. Let's go to the align tab, align it horizontally and then align it vertically, and let's bring them at the start and press S, create one keyframe, hit U, go over here, create another keyframe, go to the start, and let's make this value over here like this. Okay, now go over here, we will select this and this, and we need to rotate it on negative direction, so let's make this -1 over here, and this one is going to be at the center, so we don't need to add any rotation. On this one I'm going to type +1, so let's make this +1. Okay, so if you see, we will get something like this. Let's select this, we need to make this +1. Select this, we need to make this +1. Select this, we need to make this +1. On this one I don't think we need to add any rotation, so let's make this 0. So if you see, we will get something like this. Now we need to make this movement a little bit faster, so let's select all of them and hit F9. Go to the graph editor, select this graph, by holding shift move this handle over here like this, select this and move this handle over here. Okay, now at this point we need to change the color of this entire stuff. So for that, what we can do is that at the center, if you see, our main O is in yellow color. So what we can do, we will select this nucleus and we will select our selection option, and let's select this nucleus, and we will go to the fill options, and with the help of this picker I'm going to pick up this yellow color and hit OK. Okay, similarly for this lines over here, for example this one which is outer side over here, what we can do is that I'm gonna go in stroke options, I'll pick up this color. For this one I'll go to the stroke options, I'm going to pick up this red color. For this line I'm going to pick up this green color. For this line again I'm going to pick up this red color, and for this line again I'm going to pick up this blue color. Okay, so let's see, you first get this animation like this. Okay, and when this is going to happen, at this point I'm going to select this nucleus as well as all of these lines. By holding Alt, I'll close all of this, Alt close square bracket, I'll trim up to this, so we'll get something like this transition. Okay, now select all of them, enable the motion blur, and now if I see this, let's see in half resolution, we will get this animation over here first like that, and it will take a little bit time to load this animation, but our final output would be awesome, and our transition will look a little bit smoother like this. Let's see this animation from the start again. We'll get this animation, then this, like that. So okay, over here. Okay, now one thing over here we need to do, that we need to bring this O at the top. Okay, that's the only change we need to do in this animation now, like that. So we will get this kind of transition. So as you guys can see, just with the help of simple steps we can create this kind of simple Google logo reveal animation. Here we are in Adobe Photoshop, and now I have this Yahoo logo, and just like our previous tutorials, we need each and every alphabet on each and every layer. First thing first, we need to remove this white background. So simply go to the select options and choose color range, and with the help of this picker, I'm going to pick up this white color, and fuzziness I'm going to choose 80, and simply delete this white color and hit Ctrl D to deselect. Now press L for lasso tool, and with the help of lasso tool I'm going to select this Y over here, and I'll hit Ctrl X to cut it out, create a new layer and press Ctrl Shift V to paste in place, double click and let's call it as Y. Same thing I'm going to do this for A. Select this much portion, hit Ctrl X, new layer, Ctrl Shift V, double click, let's call it as A and hide this. Now this time I'm going to press M for rectangle selection, then select this edge, select this layer, hit Ctrl X, new layer, Ctrl Shift V, double click, call it as H, hide this. Then we are going to select this O, hit Ctrl X, new layer, Ctrl Shift V, let's call it as O, like this. Then we'll select this O over here, hit Ctrl X, new layer, Ctrl Shift V, let's call it as O, and we will call it this layer like this. Okay, sorry, double click, shift. Okay, and let's save this Photoshop file. Now we'll go to the Adobe After Effects and we'll create a new composition, which we will name as always meme animation. Width is 1920, height is 180, frame rate we are going to choose 59.94, and duration is also about 1 minute, and background color is white color, and simply hit OK. Go to choose grid and guide option and simply hit on title selection. I'm going to press Ctrl I and I'll select my Photoshop file, import as. Instead of footage, I'm going to choose composition, return layer sizes, and simply hit import and hit OK. Then double click to open this, select all of these layers and hit Ctrl C to copy. Go to the main animation and hit Ctrl V, then right click new and create one null object. Select all of these layers and make it a parent with this null object. Select this, press S, and let's bring this a little bit smaller. Now let's delete this null object, and now we will try to animate our stuff. But before that, let's select all of this and hit Ctrl D, and let's bring them downwards, and we will change the color of this layers to yellow, and we will lock the scale layer, and we will select those layers and press T for opacity, and we'll make the opacity to 40, and we will lock these layers and we will hit U. Okay, just like that. Now this going to be our guidelines, you can say. Now let's try to animate our stuff. Now I'm going to let's hide all of these layers over here, and we will select only this H and two O's at the top, out of which I'm going to select this O over here, and I'll move this over here like that. Let's select this and let's move this over here like that. Okay, now let's try to animate this stuff. Now over here, what kind of animation we do, let's see. We will select all of this and press P for position. By holding shift, I'm going to select those layers, right click and choose separate dimensions over here. Let's create one keyframe at X and one keyframe at Y. Then I'm gonna go somewhere around at 1 minute, and over here I'm going to select this O and I'll bring this over here, select this O and I'll bring this over here, and select this H and I'll bring this over here like that. Select this, let's bring this over here, select this and let's bring this over here. Okay, then go to the start, select all of them, or let's bring this over here and let's bring this over here like this. Okay, and let's make this fit. So if you see, we are getting something like this. Then somewhere around at this point, I'm going to select this edge, let's bring this over here, let's select this and let's bring this over here, select this and let's bring this over here. Okay, so if you see this animation now, we will get something like this. Okay, now let's select those, and after that we will go somewhere around over here. We will select this top one, which is this one. Let's go few frame forward and we will create one keyframe at Y, and at this point I'm going to bring this a little bit upward. Okay, then select all of this keyframe, and by holding alt I'm going to bring this up to here. So if you see, we'll get something like that. Now let's hit F9, go to the graph editor, select this graph. By holding shift, move one handle over here, select this, move one handle over here, select this, move one handle over here, zoom in, select this, and let's move one handle over here, select this, move one handle over here, select this, and move one handle over here, select this, zoom in, and let's move this over here. Okay, so we will get something like this. Now along with that we need rotation animation as well, so press R for rotation, create one keyframe, hit U, go over here, and let's make this one complete rotation at this point. Okay, so if you see, we will get something like this. Okay, and then after a few points around over here, we need this portion over here, which is this one, and let's, with the help of open square bracket, move this over here, press P for position, select this, right click and choose separate dimensions, and let's create one keyframe at X and one keyframe at Y. Press R for rotation, and let's rotate it on 90 degree, or let's go somewhere around over here, and let's bring this over here, and we will create one keyframe at X and Y. We will go somewhere around, let's say over here. We will move this from here to here like this. Okay, let's select this, and we will hit F9 and go to the graph, zoom in, select this graph. By holding shift, move one handle over here and move one handle over here, so it will look like it's colliding over here. Let's bring this keyframes over here like that. So first we will get this, and then this. I think this animation should come at this point, and then after this what we can do is that we need to go somewhere around over here. Let's select this, and let's try to bring this position properly over here, and then go over here, press R, create one keyframe, hit U, go over here, and we need to rotate it on proper axis. So let's rotate it like this over here, and let's try to adjust the position, and in middle of that we need to bring the Y position somewhere around over here. We don't need any keyframe on X position. Okay, then select those Y position keyframes, go to the graph, select those graph on Y position, and first thing first, hit F9, then select this. By holding shift, move this handle over here, move this handle over here, select this, move this handle over here, select this, and move this handle over here. So if you see, we will get something like this. Okay, so if you see this, first we will get this, and then we will get something like this. Okay, now after that there should be animation for this O and this O, as well as this A and Y. Okay, so let's select this Y and A, and let's, with the help of open square bracket, move them over here, then press P for position, select those P for position, right click and choose separate dimension. Let's create one keyframe at X and one keyframe at Y, then select this O as well, press P, create one keyframe at X and one keyframe at Y, then go somewhere around at this point. Let's select this O, move this O over here, select this O, and let's move this O over here, and in middle of that select and select both of these layers, and by holding shift move this over here, and let's delete those Y position X position keyframe. I'm going to select this O, and I'll bring this a little bit upward like this. Okay, let's delete this Y position, X position keyframes. Similarly for this Y and A, at this point create one keyframe at X and one keyframe at Y, and at this point I want this Y should be over here and this A should be over here. Okay, then go over here. At this point let's change the Y and A position over here, and we don't need exposition keyframes. Okay, we can select those exposition keyframes, and we will hit F9 on that. Okay, like that. Then we will select those Y position keyframes of each and every layer. By holding shift, you can simply select those Y position keyframes, and let's hit F9. Then go to the graph editor, select this graph. By holding shift, move this handle over here and move this handle over here. Select this, move this handle over here, select this and move this handle over here. Now along with that, we will press R for rotation, and we will create one keyframe over here. Then hit U, go over here at this point. We will make this I don't think we need to change the rotation for O, but for these we will make this -1 rotation. Select those rotation keyframes by holding shift and hit F9. Okay, we will get something like this. So if you see this now, first we will get this and then we will get this. Now the thing is that these animations are happening quite fast, so what we can do, we need a distance between each and every animation. So for this O, I'm not going to change anything. For this keyframes, by holding Alt, I'm going to increase the duration. Similarly for this one, by holding Alt, I'm going to increase the duration of this one to this. Select this, by holding Alt, I'm going to increase the duration up to this. So if you see, we will get something like this. Okay, over here. Now hit U, and now we don't need any of these, so let's delete those reference keyframes. If you see this animation, first we will get this and then we will get this, and let's make this fit. Now our this logo animation is ready. Now we need to create animation which is going to be the starting point of this. So let's select all of this and press Ctrl Shift C, and we will call it as logo animation. Okay, sorry, and hit OK, and let's hide this, or before that press Ctrl Y and create one background with this purple color, and let's bring this downwards and let's hide this logo animation. Now first thing first, we need to create our ellipse, and let's delete this fill. Delete the stroke, we don't need that stroke, and choose fill. And by holding shift, I'm going to create one ellipse. Select this, press Ctrl Alt Home, go to the align tab, align it horizontally and then align it vertically. Then press P for position. Initially it should be downward. Create one keyframe, then go to around 1 second, and let's make this somewhere around over here like this. Then go somewhere around at this point over here. Select this, go to the align tab and choose align vertically. If you see this now, we will get something like this. Now select those keyframe and hit F9. Go to the graph editor, select this graph. By holding shift, move this handle over here. Select this, move this handle over here, move this handle over here, and move this handle over here. So if you see, we will get something like this. Now over here, if you see over here, we are getting some error. So let's select those keyframe, right click, go to keyframe interpolation, and instead of auto bezier, choose linear and hit OK. So now if you see, we are getting this kind of bounciness, and by holding Alt, I'm going to bring this animation up to 1 second. Okay, and then at 1 second, I'm going to select this. I'll press S, create one keyframe. I'll go 10 frame forward, and I'm going to increase the size of this animation to somewhere around like this, that it should cover our entire canvas. Then select those keyframes, and we are going to hit F9. Go to the graph, select this graph, shift hold, move this handle over here and move this handle over here like this. And when this is going to happen, I want my logo animation to start to appear. So bring this logo animation at the top, enable this, and with the help of open square bracket, I'll bring this over here like this. Now let's see. Yep. And when this is over here, if this portion is going to strike over here, there should be some shaky animation over here. So for that, I'm going to press P for position, create one keyframe. I'll hit page down button, and let's bring this over here a little bit. Then page down button again, zoom in. Let's bring this over here again, hit page down button, copy the first keyframe, hit Ctrl C, Ctrl V. So we will get this kind of shakiness, and enable the motion blur for this shakiness. Then go inside this, select all of them and enable the motion blur as well. Now if you see this portion, we'll get this, and then we'll get this. Enable the motion blur over here as well. Okay, so first we will get this, and then we will get this, and press N at 5 seconds, and so we will get this animation like this, and then we'll get this animation. So yep, this is how you can create this kind of Yahoo logo reveal animation inside of After Effects. So first of all, here we are in Adobe Illustrator. Now I have this logo file over here which I got from freepik.com. I'll provide the link in my description. Now over here we are going to need this 3 logo, not this one. I'm going to select this one and this one over here. So let's select this one and hit delete. I'm going to select this one, hit Ctrl C to copy, go to the our new file. I have already created one new file. You can simply go to the file, Control N, and create a new file, height and width 1920 by 180, and it should be in RGB mode, and simply press Ctrl V over here. Now let's select all of them, go to the align horizontally, align center from vertical as well as horizontal, and try to bring them properly at the center over here. Now after that, we need each and every one onto a separate layer. So let's select this white color logo, hit Ctrl X to cut it out, create new layer and press Ctrl Shift V to paste in place. Double click on this layer and let's call it as white BG logo, and let's hide this. Then we have this one which is colored logo, so select this and this portion, hit Ctrl X, create a new layer, press Ctrl Shift V to paste in place, double click and let's call it as colored logo. Then we have this black logo, select this and make sure that it should be black logo. Now after selecting that, simply right click and choose ungroup, and I'm going to select this black colored background, hit Ctrl C, create a new layer and press Ctrl Shift V to paste in place, double click and let's call it as stroke over here, and let's bring this downwards. Let's hide this. Now I'm going to select this layer, this stroke layer, simply go to the color option and click on this none, and over here in stroke I'm going to choose black color just for now, so for the visibility, and increase the stroke width to somewhere around 3 and change the color of this stroke to white and simply hit OK. Okay, and let's press Ctrl S to save this file and hit Ctrl 0. So now if you see, we have one, if you click on this click to target, you can see that stroke, then we have one black colored logo, then we have colored logo, and then we have white logo. Okay, now let's save this file. Now we will go to the Adobe After Effects and I'm going to hit Ctrl N, or you can simply click on this new composition. We are going to call this comp as main animation comp, like that. Width is 1920, height is 180, frame rate you can choose whatever you want. I'm going to choose 59.94, and background color is black color, and simply hit OK. Then go to choose grid and guide option and simply hit on titles of action. Now make sure to hit Ctrl S to save this file. Right now I'm just saving everywhere. So press Ctrl I to import your Illustrator file. So select that Illustrator file, import as footage. I'm going to choose composition, return layers and sizes, and simply hit import, and let's bring this layer over here. Let's double click to open this. Now select all of them here, zoom in a little bit, and let's try to bring this at the center, and let's make this fit. Now press S and let's make the size up to 2000, not 2000 but 200, like this. Now let's optimize our setup properly. Let's hide all of this, and we have the stroke over here. Select this stroke, right click, go to the create option and shape from vector layer, and we will delete this 5th Illustrator layer, we don't need that. Then we have black logo that should get animated first, so let's try to focus on that. Press Ctrl K to open the project settings and change the color of this one to white. Okay, now what I want is that one object should come from here, and then from here one object should come and it should squeeze that object, and then we will get this logo. So first thing first, we will create that object. So we have this black logo, let's bring this at the top. Let's change the color of this one to red. For the white color I'm going to choose somewhere around this. For colored logo we will choose yellow color just for now, and for the stroke let's keep this color as it is. Okay, so now we are dealing with black logo, so whatever is associated with this we will represent that with the red color only. So first thing first, we will select our ellipse, and for the fill click on this picker and pick up this over here, and by holding shift I'm going to create one ellipse. Let's select this ellipse and press Ctrl Alt Home to align that anchor point to the center. Change the color of this one to red, and this is going to be the ball, so hit enter and let's call it as ball. And go to the align tab, align it horizontally and align it vertically just for now. Now there should be something which should inside this ball, like a line kind of structure. So let's go to the content, select this ellipse and hit Ctrl D to duplicate it. Now this topmost ellipse should contain stroke, not fill, so I'll hide the fill and I'll enable the stroke. And let's if you see, after enabling stroke we got this white color stroke over here. So let's make the stroke width to somewhere around 5 maybe. Then go to the ellipse path and let's decrease the size of this. After this, then minimize this, select this ellipse, go to the add and choose trim path, then go to the trim path and let's make this value 20. Okay, so if I enable this only we will get this kind of structure. Now you can go to the stroke options and you can adjust the stroke width according to your needs, and let's make this line cap to round cap, so we will get something like this. Now let's minimize this. Now let's select this ball, press V for selection tool, and by holding shift I'm going to bring this over here, like it should touch the bottom of this. Now after that let's select this ball, press P for position, create one keyframe, then go somewhere around 2 seconds, create another keyframe, then go to the start. Let's press R for rotation, create one keyframe, hit U, go to 2 seconds and let's make this rotation to -1 or let's say -2. Okay, then go to the start, let's bring this from here to here like that, then select the last keyframe and hit F9. Okay, so if you see we will get something like this. Now at this point I want there should be some squeezing animation, so let's hide this black logo for now. I'm going to select my ellipse and then select this fill and make sure to choose this color only. Let's select not this ellipse but rounded rectangle may be good, and create this kind of rounded rectangle like this. Select this and press Ctrl Alt Home to align that anchor point. Let's hit enter and let's call it as bold. Okay, select this, go to the align tab and choose align horizontally, then select this bold, hit Ctrl D to duplicate, go over here, go to the contents, rectangle path, unlink this, and we need to increase the size of this from here like that. Then select this board, hit R and let's rotate it on 90 degree like this. Then select this, press V and let's try to bring this over here. Okay, now this board 2 should be parent with this one, so let's select this board 2 and make it a parent with this board. Let's select all of this board 1 and board 2 and change the color of this one to red one. Okay, so we have this board. Now it should come from top, so make sure to initially it should be over here. Select both of them and let's, so with the help of open square bracket I'm going to move them over here. Select this board, press P, create one keyframe, then go somewhere around 3 seconds and let's try to bring this downward over here. Then go to the 4 second, select this first keyframe, hit Ctrl C, Ctrl V, select those keyframe and let's hit F9 to ease out, go to the graph editor, right click and make sure to choose edit speed graph. Select this speed graph. By holding shift, I'm going to move this handle over here. Select this and move select this and move this handle over here. Select this and move this handle over here. Select this and move this handle over here. So if you see, we will get something like this. Now if you see this animation, we will get this first and then we will get this first. Now it should be a little bit faster, so let's select this, and by holding alt, I'm going to reduce this keyframes up to this. So if you see this now, first we will get this and then we'll get this. Now when this ball is this board is gonna come near the ball, it should start getting squeezed. So to do that, if you see this properly, the anchor point of this ball is at the center. So if I press S, for example, if I press S and unlink the scale, it should come from the center, but we don't want that. So to avoid this mistake, what we can do, we can simply right click and we can create a new null object, hit enter, and let's call it as scale. And this null object, press P and bring this null object at the bottom over here and select this ball and make it a parent with this scale. Now what will happen, if I select this scale and if I unlink this and if I adjust the scale, I can animate it like this. So let's create one keyframe at scale, hit U so you can select all of this, and hit U so you can see all of the keyframes. And at this point over here, I'm going to reduce the scale from here like this, and adjust the size from here like that, then go somewhere around over here. Let's make this value 100, also this one also 100, then select those keyframe and let's hit F9. So if you see, we will get something like this. So if I see, we will get this kind of animation. Now after that, from this point, this portion should not come, our logo should start come from here. So let's select this black logo and let's bring this at the top over here, and with the help of open square bracket, I'll move this over here. Then at this point, I'll go somewhere around over here, then I'm going to select this black logo and I'll make it a parent with this scale. So if you see, we'll get something like this. Okay, you can select this keyframe and you can move little bit forward, so you will get proper something like this. Then you can go to the graph editor, you can select this graph, by holding shift, move this handle over here and this handle over here like this. Okay, so there should be some smoothness over here, and then you can select this ball over here. At this point, I don't want anything of this ball, so by holding alt, close square bracket, I'll move to this. Okay, so if you see this now, we'll get this, then we'll get this. Now after that, I'm going to enable my stroke layer, which is this one, and let's bring this at the top, stroke layer, and let's move this over here. Go to the effect and presets panel, and we are going to search for drop shadow effect. So let's apply drop shadow effect and double click to apply, and let's increase the softness of this shadow somewhere around like this. Okay, let's select this and with the help of open square bracket, move this over here. Go to the stroke, go to the add, and let's choose trim path. Go to the trim path and let's make this end value 0 and create one keyframe. Go somewhere around over here, let's make this value 100. Select those keyframe and let's hit F9. Go to the graph editor, select this graph. By holding shift, move this handle over here and move this handle over here like that. So you will get something like this. Okay, so if you see this now, we'll get first this, then this, and we want this after this. Then select this white BG logo over here, and let's try to bring this at the top, and with the help of open square bracket, move this over here. So let's say this animation from now. First we will get this and then this. I think this ball is coming very slowly, so hit U, select those last keyframe, or you can select all the keyframes and hit F9. Go to the graph, select this graph, by holding shift, move this handle over here like this. Then we will get something like this. You can bring this scale over here, this keyframe over here, so it will start to, it will come at the position over here. Let's move this up to this. Okay, like that. So as you guys can see, we will get this, then this, and then we want this white color logo at this point. Okay, and there should be some animation that should reveal this white colored logo. So for that, what we can do is we will create some kind of wavy animation. So let select this rectangle, and let's create one mask for this. Let's select this, hit enter, and let's call it as mask. And I'm going to choose this green color over here for this, and let's move this over here. I think this is sand color, so let's choose same color. Move this over here, and go to the effect and presets panel and search for wave warp effect, and double click to apply, and increase the wave width somewhere around like this, and wave height as well over here. Then along with that, I'm going to apply turbulence displace effect and double click to apply, and let's bring this downwards over here. Select this white BG logo and choose alpha mask. Select this mask, press P for position, create one keyframe, go somewhere around over here, and let's move this over here. Okay, so if you see this now, we will get this kind of revealing animation over here. Now I'm going to select this colored logo, and I'll hit Ctrl D for just for now to create a kind of a illusion that there are both logos involved. I'm going to change the color of this one to sand also, and let's enable this logo over here, and let's bring this over here. And now I'm going to select this mask. I'll hit Ctrl D, I'll bring this over here, I'll select this layer as well, and I'm going to choose alpha matte, and I'm going to select this white colored logo, and it should animate a little bit later after this color. And let's select this mask over here, and I'm going to change the turbulence evolution over here, so I'll get a different pattern for this one. Okay, so let's try to bring this over here. First we will get this kind of animation. So if I see this animation from the start, first I'll get this, then I'll get this, then I'll get this over here. Then I'm going to enable this white colored logo over here. Let's select all of this and press Ctrl Shift C, and I'm going to call it as animation of logos, and hit OK. Then we are going to apply page turn effect over here, CC page turn, and as you guys can see, if I move this over here, I can move page turn this effect like this. Press F4 over here and enable this icon, so you can easily animate this. So initially it should be over here. Let's see how does it looks. As you guys can see, at this point we are getting trouble over here. So let's do one thing. Let's go somewhere around at this point. When this entire animation is done, I'm going to select this, and I'll press Ctrl Shift D to split this layer. And at this point, where this animation is going, we don't want this, so I'm going to delete this page turn effect. Okay, so first I'll get this, and when this is happening, I'm getting this. By the way, this logo is this one. Okay, so there is nothing behind it. We get this animation, and then this. Then at this point over here, initially select this fold position, select this icon, and let's see where we can move. I want to move it, let's say over here like this. You can change the light direction according to your needs. Okay, you can choose different options as well, like where you want to rotate, or for example you can rotate it from here as well. You can move this somewhere around over here as well. Okay, I think I want to move it over here, so initially it should be over here. Create one keyframe at position, and make sure to choose top right corner, hit U, then go few frame forward somewhere around over here, and zoom out, and let's try to bring this point totally over here. Okay, and select those keyframe, and let's hit F9, and let's make this fit, and enable this colored logo, and with the help of open square bracket I'll move this over here, so I'll get that revealing effect over here. let's make this full quarter resolution. Okay, like this. Now after that, if you want, you can select this. You can apply turbulence displace effect over here as well. So if you see this now, we are getting this kind of effect, but we don't want this effect at the start. So initially amount should be 0. Create one keyframe. As the animation goes further, increase that amount to 100. Okay, hit U so you can see those keyframes like this. Okay, and let's try to bring this little bit downward. Okay, so we will get something like this. So we will get proper page turn effect. So as you guys can see, we will get first this, then this, then this, and then this, and then something like this. Okay, so this is how you can create this kind of Instagram logo reveal. Now you can go to the main animation and hit N. You can press Ctrl Y to create one solid background. You can choose a little bit grayish background as well, like this. Okay, so you will get proper this kind of animation over here. Then make sure to go inside this animation logos and all of the stuff, select all of them and enable the motion blur. So what will happen is that you will get that subtleness in your each and every transition over here, like this. Okay, so yeah, this is how you can create this kind of logo reveal.